So, do you want to know how much debt Americans are in right now? Well, the number is $1.14 trillion. You heard that right, guys. The debt is at an all-time high right now. So, let's talk about what the heck is going on. Let's get into it.
How much credit card debt you carrying right now?
Like $1,000. Yeah, about $2,000 at the moment.
Got like $3K on it. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. That worked out well. All right.
I usually spend it and then pay it off right away. So.
Okay.
At most 10,000.
No, I'm not in debt. Very wealthy.
Actually, I don't know if I want to do this interview anymore.
What did you do in order to get out of that debt?
It's simple. Figure out your monthly income, figure out your monthly expenses, live within that means, and leave 10 or 20% on the side. Yeah, chip away at it, have a good month, pay it off. Pretty much how it goes when you work and save.
Try and save money for groceries and living expenses, etc. Yeah, you got to budget.
Would you date someone with a lot of credit card debt?
As a man, I don't really pay attention to it.
Okay.
If she's willing, you know what I mean? If it makes sense, then yeah.
I mean, it depends on how long I see it going.
Like over $1,000.
Over $1,000, red flag, not a big deal.
I would not advise that. Terrible idea.
Terrible dating advice.
You don't want to take that on, especially student loans and any other credit card debt stuff like that stuff.
So, what do you guys think about that? Would you date somebody that has a lot of credit card debt or debt in general? I'm actually very curious. I wouldn't necessarily mind. I mean, I'm married now, but it's if they're not intentional about paying it off and they don't have a plan to pay off the debt, that would be a huge red flag. But it's about the intent behind the debt. Are they going to stop paying the debt? Are they going to, pay it off? If so, all right, maybe you guys can still date, right? So what do you guys think about that? Credit card debt, it's getting crazy.
So I had a bunch of credit cards, maxed them all out in the period of a year. And so it was up to almost $30,000.
Wow.
Ended up taking out a personal loan to pay all my credit cards off. Here's the kicker though. That doesn't work if you keep using the credit card.
Because you put a Band-Aid on the problem.
Yeah, well, I doubled the debt in another year.
You doubled your debt?
Yeah, it was like up to 70.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness, guys. I don't even know what to say, but look, she definitely is right about that being a trap in terms of, getting a personal loan at a cheaper interest rate, then trying to go pay off your credit cards at a higher interest rate with that personal loan. It's not necessarily a trap. I don't want to say for sure it's a trap, but it is a trap when you do that. You pay off your credit card debt with a personal loan, and then you keep spending on the credit card, just like she did, and she doubled her debt. Guys, please don't do that, right? If you're going to consolidate your debt, I think it's a good idea, first of all, but stop paying on or stop using those credit cards. That is such a key piece of advice right there. It makes sense because you get a lower interest rate, but if you're, paying on those or spending on those credit cards, that's a no-go. You're burning the candle at both ends. You know what I mean?
My wife is a compulsive shopper. So we've been married 16 years, and we've gone to counseling on this issue a number of times. And, she promises to change and to stop, and it doesn't change. My wife's parents are not wealthy, but they were, comfortably middle class. They were very wise with their money. So when we got married, they actually bought the house as a gift for us that we live in. It's in my wife's name alone. I didn't realize how much credit card debt she had racked up, and it was in the hundreds of thousands. So we ended up having to get a mortgage on the house to pay off the credit card debt. And that mortgage is in both of our names.
I'll stop it right there, guys. Oh my goodness. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of credit card debt. Could you imagine, having that much credit card debt at 20%, even 15%? But we all know nowadays it's like 25, 28%, yearly interest. It's insane. If you had hundreds of thousands, think about that interest payment every year. For example, if you have $100,000 of credit card debt, that's going to be at 25%. To make numbers easy, $25,000 of interest a year. Think about that multiplied many times over, hundreds of thousands of debt. And guys, that is what kills you with especially credit card debt, higher interest rate debt in general. It's the fact that it's very high interest and it compounds over time if you don't attack it and pay it off very quickly. And those interest payments really stack up. They really do.
How do some of y'all have $27,000 in credit card debt? I just want to know.
Years ago, I was in $60,000 of credit card debt, so I'll tell you exactly how that happened because I also never thought that I would get there, and it really does happen kind of fast. So the number one factor for me was the fact that I had so much anxiety and shame around money that I would actively avoid my finances. Like, I couldn't even look at my bank account, let alone sit down and make a budget. So all this in money advice and how to get yourself out of debt and whatever was kind of irrelevant to me because if I couldn't even get myself to the computer to like open my bank account, I couldn't do the rest of it. And because I didn't have a budget and was avoiding my finances, it was really easy for me to not know how much I was spending month to month on like subscriptions.
Let me pause it right there really quickly. A lot of people have that money anxiety. They don't want to open up their bank account, and it's bad. It really is bad. And that does affect your finances at the end of the day because you essentially can't manage them, right? If you don't know how much money you're spending, how much money is coming in, coming out, whatever, you're not looking at your accounts. How are you going to make a plan? How are you going to make a budget, right?
Subscriptions and various expenses that you accumulate over time. Plus, this was like the worst mental health period of my life. So my ADHD was rearing its ugly head and I was impulse spending. I also just had a very nihilistic attitude of like, it doesn't even matter, whatever, I'll just deal with it later. But the thing that you don't realize when you first start getting into credit card debt is how quickly the interest compounds over time. And this is how you can go from having like $8,000 in credit card debt to $27,000 or $60,000 or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. That goes back to what I was saying earlier about the interest. It stacks and it compounds year after year after year, especially if you're not paying your payments, right? Your late fees are stacking up as well in that case. It's just not good, guys. You want to avoid credit card debt. And like she said as well, at some point, people that are shopaholics, if you will, they shop nonstop, they can't stop spending. At some point, they stop caring and they're like, screw it, I have so much debt already. What's another $200, $500 if I buy this or buy that? And it keeps stacking and stacking and getting worse. You want to avoid that, guys. It's rough.
I'm about $3,000 in credit card debt right now. I'm 20 years old. I'm just being totally transparent. I lost my job like a few weeks ago, which I hated anyways. And although I don't really know why it happened now, I know God has a plan for me in a little bit. We're going to start a series where I just start door dashing to pay off my credit card debt. As of right now, I have the money to pay my rent because I have another job, but with this economy, one job doesn't do it. One of the cards doesn't accumulate interest, so I'm going to try to pay off the card that's like $2,000 right now, and that accumulates interest every month. Today's Wednesday, and let's see how much I can make to be able to pay off my card.
Awesome. She has a plan. She's trying to pay off the card, and that makes sense. She's paying off the card that has interest rather than the one that I guess that's still 0% interest. So that makes sense. I'm a big fan of attacking the highest interest rate card first. It depends on kind of where you're at with debt. I don't know. I mean, snowball method works, avalanche, whatever. But for me, it makes sense, especially on a smaller amount of debt, $3,000. That makes sense, paying off the higher interest first. And this is another thing worth mentioning. People that are in, I think she said what? She's 20, in their early 20s, they get in these bad habits and in the credit card spending trap, if you will, because a lot of people in their early 20s don't have the discipline, and this is where the bad habits build up. And although $3,000 of credit card debt is not bad at all, right? I bet you she's maxing out her card, and that's what a lot of younger people do. And as their credit limit increases, although it depends on your credit score, obviously, but let's say they get more access to credit over time, the worse it's going to get because they built those bad habits in their early 20s. But it looks like it's good for her that she's trying to reverse it. That's very good news.
In the last year, I've been building up some debt. kind of hiding it from my family, and it all recently came out, and pretty much just tearing apart my family at this point. So
How much debt, man?
I just about $50,000.
Are you?
It's all credit card.
What are you buying?
So that's the worst part is not really buying anything. It's actually streaming. So I used to play video games a lot. I'm actually in the military, so I used to play video games as a way to kind of cope. And basically, I got into streaming and watching other streamers play video gaming, and kind of help pass the time, and especially when I'm at work. And I kind of got into the whole gifting subscriptions. Couldn't really control it. I can say I've never been addicted to anything ever in my life, but
you
this
can't.
has got to be the closest thing.
That's something that I honestly never understood. Watching other people play video games, watching streamers. I mean, I understand playing video games. It's fun, no doubt. But watching streamers, I mean, it gets kind of boring after, 10 minutes, at least for me, and I never even do it. But I don't get it. Watching streamers and then gifting them $50,000 freaking dollars. And I watched the entire clip. It's a bit too long for the video, whatever. But yeah, he legitimately spent 50 grand in about a year's span on gifting people on Twitch, I guess, or whatever other streaming platform it was, which is just insane. I've never understood, sure, if you support a creator, no problem, right? But at some point, $50,000 in a year, I mean, that is just unfreaking believable. I think that's the average salary in America, is it not? Literally. And this guy's racking it up on credit cards. So yeah, that's obviously terrible. And with the interest, I mean, it's going to stack up. 25% on 50K is what? 12.5, so 12,500. It's going to stack up, man. And if he doesn't have a plan, he doesn't pay it off, well, he's not going to get out of debt. So what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And of course, hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subs. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.